Hello friends, welcome to Movi channel. This wonderful film begins with the brothers falling into the Middle Ages under the influence of a spell. They are chained because they are black and are being auctioned off as slaves. One of the nobles bought them. Well, will these men, born and raised in the 21st century, adjust to a time of medieval racism, where blacks work as slaves? Now how do they get back to the times they live in? Regis and Joel, two brothers who live near the Indian Islands, are unhappy with their lives. Joel was recently released from prison. He was imprisoned for stealing a woman's purse, but it has become a normal way of life for him. She currently lives with her mother and has a 9-year-old daughter. He is now unemployed and he blames racism for all his problems. Joel never seriously tried to find a job in his life. His white friend offers him a job but refuses. He adapted to street life. Unlike him, his half-brother Regis is biracial. He is married to a white woman and has a 9-year-old daughter. He lives in a rich city and is used to putting himself above everyone else. This time too, he managed to discriminate against the disabled. Regis works in local government as an assistant to the mayor. One day, he receives news that his father is ill and in a critical condition. The father called all his children to him. Regis was abandoned by his father when he was young, and he hid it from his wife, pretending that his father had died. Regis says he's not going to see his father, but when Hody finds out about it, he yells in anger. Regis has another chance and arrives in his hometown. At the airport, he meets his stepbrother Joel. They had not seen each other for 10 years, and forgetting the old grudges, they both drove to their father's house in the same car. Along the way, Regis says that he bought a new house and got a senior job. Joel lies to her and tells her that his life is the same as hers. They finally reached their father's house. Inside, their stepsisters were crying, and their father was lying sick. His father was hoarsely shouting at times, and finally when Joel and Regis approached him, his father recognized them. His father tells Regis and Joel that they will inherit a great treasure. The brothers eagerly listen to him talk about the inheritance. After the death of their father, this document is given to them. It is said that this document has been passed down from generation to generation and is a manuscript about the liberation of black people during the time of slavery. The brothers tear up the document in front of the old woman's eyes, not paying attention to its meaning. The old woman gets angry and uses a spell to take them back to the 17th century, when slavery was widespread. In the next scene, they wake up in some kind of jungle. While observing the surroundings, they did not understand where they were. After a while, black men run past them until they are scared. It turns out that they are being hunted by white people. Regis and Joel are captured and taken away in a cage. The brothers are being auctioned off in chains in the marketplace. No one buys them because their muscles are not trained. When they hear of the killing of unsold slaves, they stand tall and try to attract a buyer. Finally Monsieur Jourdain buys them. Mr. Jourdain has a large field where slaves work. When the brothers arrive, they are rudely handed over to Henry. Joel is chosen for black labor because he is black. And Regis is sent to the kitchens of the residents. The brothers soon realized that they had arrived in the year 1780, when slavery reigned supreme. The next day, the slaves are forced to listen to the false priest. The priest is talking about how the slaves obeyed the white men. The brothers are displeased with the content of the book. Regis even surprises the priest by reading a line from the book. After a while, the slaves are mobilized to work, and Joel is late for work. He is severely beaten by Henry. Joel had never been snored so hard in his life. Desperately trying to escape, he hit his head on a pillar and lost consciousness. He was flogged to set an example for everyone. In the evening, Regis is brought to Jourdain and asked to read a book. Regis is praised for his talent by Mr. Jourdain, who appoints him to manage the slaves with Henry. At this moment, one of the female slaves is applying salve to Joel's wound. The woman tells him that his skin is soft because Joel has not worked hard before. Joel takes the opportunity to kiss her, but she rejects him. A woman says she loves another male slave. The next day, her brother Regis wakes her up. Joel says he'll take a break, but now Regis has been appointed slave manager. Joel is surprised by his brother's rude behavior. The next day, Regis is leaving with the slaves to complete a new mission. Joel is upset with her and tells her that she is becoming more and more rude. Regis calms her down and tells her that she's just acting and that her escape plan is here. Regis also reports to Mr. Jourdain throughout the day. He has told all the whites that he is an educated slave, that is why they are mocking him. White people laugh at him because maybe he can play the piano. Regis' piano playing eventually ends in punishment. In the evening, the brothers decide to run away. In the morning, they go out in a horse-drawn carriage. The charioteer warns them when he reaches the destination because he knows that they are running away. The old man shows them great hospitality and respect, because he too suffered from the whites. After a while, the sound of horsemen is heard and they run out the back door. The brothers run away and reach the endless sea. They found a boat a little further and escaped from the guards. It must be said that the lives of slaves are hard, and they were captured by a large ship at sea. The next day they are auctioned again. By the way, those who were wearing them yesterday are also here. The pursuers continue on their way, taking the slaves with them. Suddenly they are surrounded by black people with white marks on their faces. They bring the brothers to their residence. It turns out that the members of this tribe were slaves before. In the camp, they sing together, denouncing the white people. At this point, Regis disagrees with their talk about white women because his wife is also white. This enrages the tribe and they run away. The next morning they see her. Joel finds out that his aunt sent them here. After a while, the boys calm down and ask their aunt to remove the spell, saying that they are ready for anything. The old woman does not agree at first, but takes pity on them and reveals the secret. That is, in order for them to return to their time, their current ancestors Isidore and Rosalie must have sexual intercourse. The old woman orders the brothers to smoke in this equipment after completing the tasks. The video shows Joel engaging in oral sex with another man as the two try to resolve the situation. He had recorded it earlier, but the situation was not what he thought. The brothers then convinced Isidore that he was homosexual and admitted that they had to correct this mistake. They will go back and be punished. Slavery will be stamped on them. They then plan to have Isidore and Rosalie have sex in their cabin. At this moment, the white nobles are celebrating the wedding of Mr. Jourdain's daughter. Regis and Joel brought out a barrel of musalas from the barn and offered it to the slaves. Their goal was to activate the romance between Isidore and Rosalie by getting them drunk. After a while, all the slaves get drunk and sing and dance. After a while, Regis sees Isidore clinging to Joel and they separate. In the middle of the evening, Isidore and Rosalie are forced to have sex using their masculinity. Once they had done that, they were convinced that the mission was accomplished. Now they decided to take revenge on the whites, thinking that they could return home whenever they wanted. They've invaded a straight white man's party and are doing whatever they want. Joel kisses a girl who is getting married. And Regis is damaging the furniture even as he punches the gentleman. Suddenly, Henry enters the room with a gun and threatens them. Regis and Joel are not in the mood. Unfortunately, nothing happens when they smoke the pipe the old lady gave them. Maybe they changed the pipe. As a result of their actions, they were imprisoned and sentenced to death. In the cage, they agonize over the possibilities that life has given them. The next day, they are being prepared to be dragged into the desert. Suddenly, Mr. Jourdain is run over by his only son. The nanny ran after him and saw that the child was drowning in the water. The nanny warned everyone, and the white people ran away in confusion. Using this, Isidore frees the brothers and orders them to flee. As the brothers are running away, they see a boy running in a stream. Without thinking, Regis throws himself into the water to save the boy. Joel, who doesn't know how to swim, also throws himself into the water to save the boy, and Regis saves him too. When Mr. Jourdain hears what happened, he frees Regis and Joel from slavery because they saved Mr. Jourdain's only child. Regis refuses and says he will stay here as a slave. The brothers hang out outside and Joel leaves. The next day, the slaves are having a cocktail in the field again. Regis sees that his brother Joel has returned. After a while, they read the paper about the liberation of Isidore and Rosalie from slavery and are surprised by them. The brothers gave Isidore and Rosalie the opportunity they had been given. Henry smokes a pipe given to them by the old woman, hastening their parting moments. Suddenly they disappear and Henry is surprised. In the next footage, the brothers are seen lying on the floor back in time. Joel has now made a living out of laughing and is working there. And Regis, as always, is working in the office as the mayor's assistant. He no longer indulges his boss in silly jokes. At the end of the film, the family is having an interesting conversation at the table. Suddenly, their daughters tear up the paper on which they were painted. Joel and Regis yell at them. "Thank you for your attention.